This video, we're going to be breaking down the behind the scenes of a recent project I did involving a dirt bike, an absolute maniac motocross rider, and these amazing anamorphic lenses. If you haven't seen the final piece yet, I highly recommend checking it out. I dropped it yesterday on my YouTube channel, so you could definitely go and watch it. It's only like 40 something seconds. Anamorphic lenses, not something I typically shoot with, but for this particular project, I think it was exactly what it called for. When Laowa approached me to review their new lenses, the Proteus 2x anamorphic zooms, I knew I had an opportunity to create something unique. I wanted to be able to create a project that really highlighted these lenses, their versatility, the look, and the character in a project that fit exactly what I felt Anamorphic kind of spoke to. I partnered with a good friend of mine, Parker Foster, who's a phenomenal director, and we kind of brainstormed ideas and things that we might be able to shoot, and he ended up coming up with this motocross concept and pitched this person, a friend of his, who absolutely ripped in motocross. And funny enough, I actually knew the person from years and years ago, so small world, but it ended up working out perfectly because he has his own, like dozen acres, however many acres. He has his own little warehouse. He has like a location that is perfect for filming, especially with us being a small crew, a small footprint, and being able to kind of just like freely shoot throughout the day and have everything be totally accessible for us, and we didn't have to change locations to them. It was just right outside the warehouse. The fun thing about these types of projects is that you kind of have the freedom to explore and create how you want. And working with Parker, we kind of just went into this like, let's make our goal just to shoot the absolute coolest things possible. I really love these sort of passion projects, or these opportunities where you can kind of fully create with just the intention of making things look absolutely insane. And that was our goal. Go in and just shoot the coolest thing you can. And I think what helped with that is that we were on these pretty sick anamorphic lenses that I personally am not accustomed to. I'm so used to shooting this like full frame 3:2 aspect ratio that when I put on these anamorphic lenses for the first time, I was like, oh man, I see why people are obsessed with anamorphic. And if I could just say, outside of just like the whole technical cinematography thing, putting on anamorphic lenses, just like, it looks sick. Almost anything you put in front of it just looks awesome because of maybe the 2x de-squeeze, the bars, the horizontal look that we inherently think of as like cinematic movie type of look. I think that's also just a great thing that these lenses provided for me. It was just a revitalization of like what the possibilities are in terms of cinematography and experimenting and trying and just exploring. I think that's the beauty of it, and I absolutely loved getting out of my comfort zone of just like the clean, clinical, pristine cinematography that I'm kind of known for, and living in that kind of gritty, raw world that especially Parker brought out of me. So these lenses, the Laowa Proteus 2x zoom anamorphic lenses, are Super 35, and I did pair them with the Venice. Even though the Venice is full frame, I cropped the sensor to 4K 6.5, and the reason I did that is because 6.5 gives you a little bit more height than 4.3. These lenses come natively PL, but they also come in Canon EF, which is included. Some additional mounts you can use for purchase include RF, E, and L mounts. The goal with this shoot was to just be raw, gritty, just aggressive power. Like, if you could think of motocross or dirt bike and think of the most aggressive thing possible, dirt flying up, just raw noise of the engine and the exhaust, that's what we were going for. And I think these lenses, these anamorphic lenses, spoke perfectly to being able to capture that aesthetically and visually. These lenses are a perfect balance between like gritty and like messy, but also clean as well. What I think really set these lenses apart is the fact that you could shoot them wide open at t2.9. At 26 millimeters all the way up to 45, which is the first set of zooms. The second set of zooms at 45 to 85, also t2.9, all the way through. From 26 to 45 zoom, it stays at t2.9. And a lot of the times with anamorphics, you can't really shoot them wide open. They just become super soft. Nothing is sharp, nothing's in focus, and you have to stop down a lot. But because we were so kind of raw in this, we didn't have a ton of light. We wanted to be able to utilize T2.9 to allow as much light into the camera as possible, and also just the fact I wanted to see if it was usable at T2.9. And the fact that we were able to get a crisp, sharp image at 2.9, I think it really speaks to kind of these lenses and how they're kind of speaking more to the modern side of things of being able to shoot wide open. What I didn't want to do in this shoot though is only shoot into the sun or only shoot into the light and be able to just flare every single scene, flare, flare, flare. Because I know that's a huge thing with anamorphics, and like a lot of reviews is, what does the flare look like? Every shot has to have a flare in it. And I get it, anamorphic has a very specific flare and it's cool, but I didn't want to create a shoot that was only flares. So like in the video itself, there's probably maybe 1 or 2 flares in total. And the reason for that is because I just wanted to show off these lenses in a genuine way. I didn't want to be like, hey, look how cool these flares are, and that's all you get. Because I don't think that's a real accurate representation of how you could actually use these lenses in a real practical scenario. Speaking of the flare in particular, these lenses come with 3 different types of flares. The silver, which I picked because it's a little bit more neutral and a little bit less kind of like in your face. It comes with blue and amber as well. So you can kind of select the color of the flare that you want. I chose silver because it kind of mends with the light that you're shining it into. And it's just, again, a little bit more natural and something that I kind of prefer. Like I said before, these are zooms. So in total, from 26 to 85, you essentially have 3 times the amount of zoom to be able to work with. And why that was really important for us in this project is because we wanted to be able to move freely. We wanted to be able to move quickly, efficiently, and get a ton of varying shots within a specific scene. And we were able to do that by quickly just zooming in and out. Instead of having to waste time changing lenses to be able to get kind of the same shot but at a different focal length, maybe a different compression, I was just able to zoom in, zoom out real quick. And my AC was also able to maybe slow zoom in, slow zoom out. So it provided us with a couple different unique opportunities in a setting that we really needed to be able to move fast. And that's really what those zooms are for. And I know that this is different in like the narrative world where you want to be very intentional with the focal lengths and how you're shooting your actors and where you're shooting them and keeping a visual language. But if you're shooting a visual piece, if you're shooting something that doesn't necessarily have to have a strong consistent feeling or strong consistent look, having a zoom and being able to kind of just zoom in and out freely gives you so many more options. So another great option that Laowa provided in these lenses are the fact that they are parfocal. What that means is, say you're at 26mm and you want to zoom into 45 and you want to do a small crash zoom, for example. You could zoom in and you're still in focus. So whatever you focused at 26mm will be in focus at 45. Whatever's in focus at 36 will be in focus at 26. The focus remains the same. So even if you do have a first AC, it helps them be able to stay in focus even if you're doing a quick zoom. If you don't have a first AC, it helps you stay in focus while you're doing a quick zoom in. Again, not the biggest deal, but it gives you an opportunity to be a little bit quicker, a little bit sharper, especially if you're doing things by yourself. The zooms and the parfocal essentially just gave us a nice variety. It also just gave us the versatility we needed in this run and gun style shoot. What's really nice about these specific anamorphics is that they're really light. I think they're like 3 pounds. Compared to some of the other big zoom anamorphics that are huge and you need a ton of lens support, these are easy to handheld. You could put them on your shoulder, pop them on easy rig. You don't have to really worry about it. You don't need additional lens support, and they're just light. They're compact. I think they're a great option for a lot of people that are looking for this sort of high quality cinematic anamorphic zoom without the bulk, without the size, without the weight, without the extra things that come along with it. These are just nice and compact. If you're expecting perfection in anamorphic, that's not what anamorphic is for. Anamorphic is for the dirty, raw, gritty, kind of messy look. That's like the whole point. And I think, you know, coming from a set of Tokina Vista Primes, which I use often, I own, which are very clean, very sharp, very like just natural. These were a total shift that I had to kind of adjust to. But once I kind of got into the setting, once I got onto set, once I realized like, okay, this is kind of what we're shooting, it was like, oh, this is like exactly what I'm looking for in terms of look. I wanted that rawness, I wanted the grittiness, I wanted the messiness, I wanted the distortion. Obviously, Anamorphic isn't for everybody. It's not for every project, but I think that these are a great option for creators and DPs out there that are looking for a great set of anamorphic zooms that are light, that are compact, that you can keep in your kit, and are a great option to be able to pitch on for projects that don't necessarily have the big budgets for those huge anamorphic zooms or huge anamorphic primes. These are really great options between the old vintage anamorphics, the super clean modern anamorphics. These are perfectly balanced in the middle where they have character, but they also have sharpness. I think these are a great option for a lot of people out there. To learn more about the Laowa Proteus 2x zoom anamorphic lenses, click the link in the description below. That's all I got for you today. Hope you enjoyed today's video. I will see you next time. Peace out.